When shooters talk about the deadliest air rifles on the consumer market, they're usually referring to a handful of models that combine high muzzle energy, consistent accuracy, and real-world terminal performance, the rifles that make airgun hunting and pest control options where local laws permit. In 2025, Amazon and mainstream dealers have something for everyone. Budget bangers that surprise you with features, mid-range PCPs that punch above their weight, and ultra-premium rigs that read like a Swiss watch. I spent time with each of the 5 models that keep coming up in conversations, forum threads and sales charts. The Gamo Swarm Magnum 10X Gen 3, Jatir and honest, hands-on review mixing specs. Objective impressions, subjective reactions, and real prices you can expect to pay. First up is the Gamo Swarm Magnum 10X Gen 3, and if there's a single theme that runs through Gamo's value models, it's surprising capability for the price. Objective specs for the Swarm Magnum 10X Gen 3 read like a checklist for shooters who want compact multi-shot hunting platform, break barrel action, selectable .177 or 22 pellet options, Gamo's 10-shot rotary magazine system, and advertised velocities up to the mid-1000s FPS depending on caliber and pellet. In practice, the Swarm feels like a practical field tool. The multi-shot function is the star. Follow-up shots are faster than single-loader spring guns, and the magazine is easy to load. On paper, it won't match PCP consistency, but for close-range rabbit or pest work, it gets the job done. The downsides are predictable. Spring piston feel is snappier than PCP. Shot-to-shot variation is higher, and the out-of-the-box trigger and sights are average. Subjectively, I found it fun and effective for short-range work. It's a confidence builder for new shooters who want to engage multiple targets without fuss. Price-wise, the Swarm Magnum typically lands well under $300, a major reason it flopped shelves. If you want a low-cost, multi-shot air rifle for small game and backyard pest control, it's a very defensible choice. Putting these rifles side by side, some clear patterns emerge. The Gamo Swarm Magnum 10X Gen 3 is the democratizer. Multi-shot fun and practical for beginners at a very low price. The Hatsan Blitz is raw power for those who want a hard-hitting PCP without the European price tag. The Umarex Gauntlet 2 is the pragmatic breakthrough, regulated PCP performance at an attainable price. The SIG MCX Virtus PCP brings modern ergonomics and rapid-fire ID to the table. And the FX Impact M3 is the aspirational pinnacle for accuracy and adaptability. Price brackets reflect those roles. Under $300 for Gamo's value offering, roughly $400, $800 for Umarex and some Hatsan configurations, $500, $900 for higher-end Hatsan bullpups, $800, $1,500 for modular tactical PCPs, like the SIG, and $2,000 plus for FX's top end. A few final practical notes for anyone considering one of these rifles. First, legality matters. Airgun laws vary widely, by country, state, and even municipality, so always confirm what's legal to own, what power thresholds apply, and whether magazine or semi-auto features are restricted where you live. Second, infrastructure matters. PCPs need a reliable fill solution, whether that's a hand pump, a scuba tank fill, or a high-pressure electric compressor. Factor that into the total cost of ownership. Third, ethics matter. Match caliber and energy to the game. Use quality pellets or slugs, and practice until your shot placement is consistently humane. Finally, training matters. Even the most capable rifle on paper only performs as well as the shooter behind it. In real terms, the deadliest air rifles of 2025 are not dangerous because they're toys. They're dangerous because they are effective tools when used responsibly. Each of the 5 rifles evaluated here earns its place for different reasons: affordability, raw power, regulated performance, modern ergonomics, or top-tier precision. Your choice should reflect your game, your budget, and your willingness to invest in training and gear. If you want a practical recommendation, buy the Gauntlet 2. If you want the most balanced value, choose the FX Impact M3. If you want the ultimate airgun performance, and money is secondary, pick the Gamo Swarm. If you need an affordable multi-shot solution, respect local law, respect the quarry, and these rifles will serve you well. The Umarex Gauntlet 2 represents a different sweet spot, an accessible, regulated PCP that brought regulated performance to a mainstream price bracket and then improved it. Objectively, the Gauntlet 2 steps up the baseline with a factory regulator for tighter shot strings, smooth side lever action, and the proven ability to produce consistent groups that are more PCP-like than spring gun-like. Available in .22 and .25, it's the kind of rifle that makes ethical small game hunting practical for many shooters. Adequate power, quiet operation with an effective moderator, and predictable downrange performance. Subjectively, the Gauntlet 2 feels like the rifle a lot of hunters will own as their first real PCP. It's predictable, forgiving, and doesn't create buyer's remorse. For shooters who want to move beyond budget springers but aren't ready to thousands, the Gauntlet 2 is a clear winner. Price falls in the $400–$700 band, which keeps it highly attractive. Factor in a good hand pump or scuba fill options when budgeting. Sig Sauer's MCX Virtus PCR-style platform, but in pellet form. Objective features include an AR-style chassis, modular options, high-capacity magazines or belt feed variants in some configurations, optics rails, and a design that's ergonomically familiar to shooters accustomed to modern rifles. Performance is tuned more toward rapid target engagements and training than long-range precision. Depending on caliber and setup, the MCX Virtus PCP manages solid groupings for practical ranges while offering the advantage of controllability and fast follow-ups. Subjectively, it's a blast to shoot. Ergonomics are intuitive for modern rifle shooters, and the platform's modularity lets you tailor it for different roles. Critics will point to the novelty factor and to questions about whether an AR-style pellet rifle is necessary. But for range fun, tactical training scenarios, or pest control where fast shots matter, it's compelling. Pricing is mid to high for a PCP of this type. Expect to see $800, $1,500 depending on options and mag systems. Also keep in mind that the MCX's appearance means you must be careful with local laws and transport. Optics and furniture might make it look firearm-like where that can be an issue. Finally, the FX Impact M3 sits at the top of the pyramid. If the other rifles are best in class for their price, the Impact M3 is best in almost everything for those willing to pay. Objective highlights include multi-caliber capability, match-grade barrels, highly tunable regulators, extraordinary shot-to-shot consistency, and the modularity to dial in every parameter from power curve to shot count. In skilled hands, the FX Impact is capable of remarkable accuracy at ranges that were once the exclusive domain of centerfire rifles. Many shooters achieve sub-MOA groups at practical distances using pellets or slugs. There's also an ecosystem of barrels and accessories that make it an all-purpose hunting rig or a precision target platform. Subjectively, the Impact M3 feels like owning a finely engineered instrument. It rewards attention and hand-loading care, and when it sings, it's intoxicating. The obvious caveat is cost. Configured systems commonly exceed $2,000 and can climb significant options. But for a hunter or airgunner who wants forensic-level performance and the flexibility to chase different quarry and conditions with one chassis, there's no better pick. Finally, the FX Impact M3 sits at the top of the pyramid. If the other rifles are best in class for their price, the Impact M3 is best in almost everything for those willing to pay. Objective highlights include multi-caliber capability, match-grade barrels, highly tunable regulators, extraordinary shot-to-shot consistency, and the modularity to dial in every parameter from power curve to shot count. In skilled hands, the FX Impact is capable of remarkable accuracy at ranges that were once the exclusive domain of centerfire rifles. Many shooters achieve sub-MOA groups at practical distances using pellets or slugs. There's also an ecosystem of barrels and accessories that make it an all-purpose hunting rig or a precision target platform. Subjectively, the Impact M3 feels like owning a finely engineered instrument. It rewards attention and hand-loading care, and when it sings, it's intoxicating. The obvious caveat is cost. Configured systems commonly exceed $2,000 and can climb significant options. But for a hunter or airgunner who wants forensic-level performance and the flexibility to chase different quarry and conditions with one chassis, there's no better pick.